Okay, I'm going to go ahead and keep recording. I think it's light enough in here. What I did is I went ahead and ironed up my bodice to my front, and then I did a line of top stitching right here. And what that did, it also caught the back of the piece too, so you don't have to worry about whip stitching that. On this one I actually whip stitched it because I didn't do it that way, but you can do it either way, whatever you want to do. If you want to leave it without the top stitch, that's fine too. It's totally up to you. Okay, so now we want to put our bias tape on our back piece. We're at this point right here. We want to get this bias tape put in so we can sew our side seam. So how do I know where I'm going to put my bias tape? Well, the easiest way to do it is to take your fabric, line up your edges, and pin it down. Okay, so line that up and find out where you want it. Now if you want to do the fold over and add your own casing, then you're going to want to add more to your back piece, because I did this one with the bias tape method. But because we want, once we get the bias tape in, we want this seam to match, and of course the bottom seam too. Okay, so that's one side. Let's do the other side. So you want to match your bottoms. Put a pin in it, and then come up to the top and find out where, when you sew those under, where that seam is going to be so you can match it up. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a pin right in here. Okay, now if we wouldn't have done it like this and we just went ahead and put our bias tape on and turned it, we wouldn't be matching at the end. So we're adjusting as we go. Okay, so now we've got our two pins on the top. We know exactly where we want our bias tape. So now we need to create a sew line. So how I do that is I take my pattern, and this is the back piece. So take your pattern, get a piece of chalk or a tracing pencil or whatever it is you use, and line your pattern up from that pin to the other pin. You see that? I hope I'm on camera. So line that up and line this side up. Okay, can you see that in the video? Okay, so then go ahead and remove your pins and take your chalk and then just make a chalk line all along that pattern, just like that. Okay, if you're a little off, it doesn't matter. Okay, so we've got our chalk mark. Pretty good. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to take our bias tape and we're going to open it up. This is single fold bias tape. I'm going to cut this piece off. Do you see where this is where they sewed the edges together? So I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so now we're going to open this up and we're going to sew in this little channel, okay? And we're going to line that channel up with our chalk mark all the way across from the whole thing. And that is our sew line. So let's get it lined up. Okay, you can put a couple pins in if you need to. Okay, so there's that one and this one. Okay, and then we're just going to sew right across, right in that chalk mark. So if you need to pin it the whole way, go ahead, but we're just going to follow that chalk line all the way down. So put your sewing machine at center, and so because you want to put that stitching right down that channel, right down that line, that fold line, the first fold line on that bias tape. Okay, so keep it going. Okay, when you get to the pin, take it out. Lift up, line your bias tape up with the chalk mark. Keep sewing. Don't pull your bias tape, just open it up flat. Okay, another chalk mark. And sew in the channel. Okay, so you've got that sewn all the way across. You're going to take that off. Cut your residue off. Now you're going to have too much fabric. Unless you cut really tight, you're going to have too much fabric. So what we're going to want to do is cut some of this off. Just cut it flush with the bias tape. You just want it out of the way. Okay? So now we're going to turn this around and we are going to put it to the back. I like to sew 2 lines of, let me cut these threads off. I like to sew 2 lines because I think you get a nicer finish when you do it like that. But if you only want to sew it 1 for a softer finish, that's fine too. But I kind of like it with the 2 lines of stitching myself. So, but when you do the 2 lines of stitching, you got to be careful that you sew right at the very edge because you got to get that 1/4 inch elastic in there. And sometimes when you sew it really tight, it gets it hard to get that elastic through, especially if you're pulling your elastic through with, say, like a safety pin. You can also press this too if you want to make it easier on yourself. It'll turn real simple that way. I'm just trying to save time so I don't have to get my ironing board out and my iron. If it's not perfect, you can always adjust it down at the leg part. So, nothing to worry about. Okay, so I'm going to sew on the bottom, and then I'm going to sew very close to the top. I'm going to put 2 rows of stitching because I like that finish look better. You get a nicer finish. You get a nice little cute little ruffle on the top. Do you see that? I did the same thing on the legs. You get that nice little cute little ruffle on the bottom. If you don't do that, it just is a smooth finish. You know, see here, you don't get that cute little ruffle. That's with the turned up fabric. So it depends on what look you're looking for. You may prefer that look, so it's whatever you prefer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew my first line of stitching right at the bottom of the bias tape. So I'm going to keep my needle in the middle, and I'm going to sew right along the bottom. Take out my pins as I get to them. Okay, so there's number 1. Now we're going to sew number 2. And we're going to sew right at the very top. You can do it from either side, it's whatever you prefer. I'm going to just do it from this side. Okay, so we've got 2 lines of stitching, front and back. You can cut your threads. I'll cut these later. Keep them out of the way. Okay. Alright, so now you're going to take your elastic and a straight pin, whatever you got. If you got the bodkin, use the bodkin. If you've got the loop turner, use that. It's whatever you prefer. I'm going to use the safety pin method. I saw one the other day that was done with a bobby pin, but that was to turn a spaghetti strap. That's the first time I've seen that with a bobby pin. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put that in all the way to the other side. And you're probably saying, how do I know how much elastic to, how wide my elastic could be? We're going to fit it to the doll. So it all depends on what doll you're making this for. If it, you know, because some dolls, especially if you're making them for different size baby dolls, some of them are thicker through the back, and it all depends. So if you just put it on the doll, some of them have the cloth bodies, some of them have the hard plastic. I know I've got a few of those dolls that are the cutest little things, but they've got partial cloth bodies, so I would have to put those on. And I know I'm using knit elastic. I shouldn't be doing it with cotton, but I don't have any of the other kind, and I haven't had a chance to get to the store. Okay, so I'm going to sew this elastic on. I'm going to keep it, I'm going to go in about 1/8 of an inch. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I don't want any gatherings when I sew my seam together. So if I go in like 1/8 of an inch or a little bit more, when I put my 1/4 of an inch seam in, I won't hit that. I won't have a ruffle in that location. So I'm just securing the elastic on one side. That's all I'm doing. I went a little too far. Okay. I just secured that elastic in place. That's all I did. Got a bunch of okay. So we can go ahead and cut off the residue. Okay, sort of, all right. Okay, so I think we're going to need, if you want, you can take the baby's back and measure the back of it. Just put it up to the baby's back and just kind of determine, you know, I hope you can see this. Let's see. Just take it up to the baby's back and measure. Remember, you're going to have your seam allowances in there. So that looks pretty good. Okay, so how do I know that's going to be good? I'm going to test it. So let's go ahead and put a pin here and snag the elastic in the pin. Take your front. We're just going to put a pin in 1/4 of an inch. Once I try this on, I'll shut the camera down because I think I might have gone a little long, but we'll see. Okay, so then this side, put in another pin, 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to try it on the baby. I got a little black spot still on her leg from a marker. Didn't come out all the way. I'm going to have to do some more cleaning on this one. This was the one I paid 99 cents for. I think I paid 99 cents for all these babies. They're so cute. Okay, so there's that. We've got it pinned here. We've got it pinned on the other side. It looks pretty good. And then you go to the back, and pretty good, easy. And she'll have enough room to get on and off. Okay, so that elastic is good where it is. Okay, so let's take that off, and we will secure the elastic on the other side. So when you take your pin out, make sure you don't take your elastic pin out. We'll just do it together here. Okay, so that's the right location. So let me put that back in. So we're going to go ahead and secure the elastic on this side and cut it off. So then again around 1/8 of an inch. That's a little too far in probably. Okay, secure. Okay. Trim that up. Cut your elastic off. Okay, alright. So now we are ready to attach one side. So I'm going to shut the camera off and come right back.